Hello, everybody. Welcome to In the Weeds. I am joined with Tory Nelson today, all the way from Colorado. Hello, Tory. How's it going?
Good, Marcus. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So Tory and I have known each other since 2000, and I think 9. We first met in Atlanta, right?
Good. Yeah, I think we were both in Boston, but I think Atlanta's where we got.
Atlanta was where we really met and got hanging out and started talking. You and I, you have 3 restaurants. You and I have something very similar in common, that we are marketing maniacs and we love marketing. And that is the driving force of my restaurant, as is your restaurant and so many other restaurants across America. They either restaurants get it or they don't get it on marketing. So we're going to talk about marketing today. We're going to talk about how you got through the pandemic. We're going to talk about your 3 restaurants, very craft beer orientated, which I love. And I've actually been to your restaurant up there in Colorado, up in Estes Park a few years ago. So we were up there visiting you, and great location. Would love to know how you're dealing with seasonal operations too, because you're very seasonal in the one location, correct?
We are two of the 3 are very seasonal.
2 very seasonal. So you're like fast. What is it? Feast or famine. You're in that kind of scenario,
much, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So all of a sudden you're in high gear and rocking and rolling. So talk a little bit about how you got into the restaurant industry and your first restaurant.
Sure. I started Tenant Bar in college kind of for something to do and change of scenery and just kind of fell in love with the industry. Actually, was studying engineering at the time, so a little bit of a shift. Met my wife working at a restaurant. Actually, I was a bartender; she was the hostess. And kind of through a group of friends, connection of friends, we had helped open about 5 restaurants with different groups, and kind of got to the point where the next one was going to be ours if we were going to go through the rigmarole and the pain and trials and all that good stuff. And that's the Wapiti, Colorado pub up in Estes Park, and we got in there in 2005. It had been a solid restaurant for a lot of years. Was purchased and had a couple of years of pretty tough times, and so we sort of bought it. It just looked like a really bad close, but it had been closed for 2 months, so a whole lot of cleaning and all that kind of stuff. And then thought we knew what we were doing, of course, until we had the keys to our own place, and then then the learning curve really started.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, I know. Tell me about that. So how much money did you have when you first opened a restaurant? Did you did you get investors? Did you do it yourself? Did you have a ton of money? Were you undercapitalized?
We were way undercapitalized, especially, looking back and knowing what we know now. We probably never would have gotten into it, but we had a little bit of money. We had a whole lot of time. We did have a family investor. I think we started with about $40,000, which was enough. I mean, the place that we got into, we basically took over the note from the former purchasee or purchaser, I guess. And so we kind of hit the ground without a whole lot down. We already had everything we needed, all the equipment, chairs, tables, glasses. So we didn't have a whole lot of outlay right out of the gate with that location anyway.
So let me understand this. You had $40,000 you opened up the company with, the restaurant.
Correct.
Wow. Okay. You got me beat. I opened it with 65,000. There's not too many people that are as undercapitalized as you and I that can claim that they're in business 15, 20 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can make a run of it for about a year or so being that undercapitalized, but 15 years later, 20 years later, you and I are still here. So wow. Okay. You probably have more in inventory now than you started with. When it comes to beers,
between all the places, yeah.
Yeah, that's a story I love to tell people. I have more than that in liquor now behind my bar. Yeah. All right, so you realized quickly that it was a challenge.
Correct. The restaurant part of it wasn't too bad. We had we're a bar, right? So we were selling burgers and some salads and a couple pastas, things like that. We opened in May. And Estes Park is very summer seasonal. We're the summer side of the Rocky Mountains, so camping, fishing, and all that kind of stuff. And so we had a pretty good summer right out of the gate. And then the trick became winter. About 4.5 million people a year go through Estes Park, so there's probably 50 restaurants for a town of about 10,000 people. So getting through that is the tough part. My dad actually taught marketing and advertising university. And so we kind of started off with the traditional advertising model, lots of negative space and newspaper advertising, making sure we're there every week and things like that. And pretty quickly realized that wasn't going to work in a small market.
I did the same thing. We worked our butts off all summer long. And the little bit of money I had after the first summer, I was like, okay, let me place some ads now to keep the momentum going. Traditional ads, yellow pages were still going on back then, newspaper print, and people would walk in and sell me ads. And I thought, okay, great. And oh my gosh, did I fall flat on my face. I lost all my money. My bank account was empty. It was negative cash flow, and time to whip out the credit cards and try to even begin to know how I'm going to start covering payroll on year one going into the winter. What happened? What happened in your situation?
About the same story. We learned about those wonderful credit card advance loans, and it's probably that second year. It's like, well, we need something else something different to do with this. And through a couple other friends, and actually, a little ad in the back of a restaurant magazine that was more of a direct marketing model, which is actually ultimately how you and I met each other, of course. But I started doing that with birthday offers and some newsletters and promotions. Like around Christmas, we had a free gift wrapping area, and just trying to make it interesting so that people would come in. And pretty soon that started to catch on, and it got us enough through that second winter when we were kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel to get us to the third and fourth winter when we really could start to see some growth. And start to become that local place that people wanted to come to during the winter, which is always the tough part.
Excellent. So talk to me about direct mail. Listeners listening to this, people listening to this, what is exactly direct mail?
Direct mail. So rather than spending $2,000 on a newspaper display ad, we'd spend $2,000, creating, printing, and mailing an offer directly to our guests. And so we knew that for that $2,000 spend, we were going to get anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 back in guest spending. And so we could track those advertisements, as opposed to the newspaper might have brought someone in that might not have.
So now 2005, 2006, you're doing this. How are you collecting names? Was the Goldfish Bowl when you walk in, people drop their business cards? How are you bringing the database in?
We actually were using a comment card, and then we'd have people sign up with their birthdays. Just let them know we're going to send them something free on their birthday, and then we put them into a drawing for, I don't remember now, $100 gift certificate or something. And then, of course, one person would win that, but then everybody would win a free appetizer or something. So we had an offer to send back to them. And then as that list started to build, we could send out the birthdays or the anniversaries. We'd send out a print newsletter, and we always had to have some offers in there. There's some jokes, some content that wasn't necessarily restaurant or sales content.
So you took it to the next level and you created a newsletter on top of this.
Absolutely.
So you got their birthdays, you're sending them postcards, they're responding. Then you take the next level, you do a newsletter, and with jokes and all kinds of just content, general content, right? Keep
something interesting, yeah.
Give interest, give engaged. Oh wow. So how did newsletters work?
The newsletters worked really well, especially as word kind of got out. Estes Park's a pretty small community, and people start talking about what they call me, Captain Coupon or something for a while.
Coupon. So if I can just make this analogy or this comparison. So you went from the year before placing an ad into a newspaper, getting lost, to basically creating your own newspaper, your own newsletter, sending it out, and so now started building up a reputation. And probably, I'm assuming, for the same cost, if not less, or around the same cost.
Probably the same or less, yeah, monthly, yeah.
Right. So this is when people say they do marketing and they've tried marketing, and when you start talking to them, they really haven't tried this type of marketing. And direct mail marketing is it's like a no-brainer. I just wish more restaurants would understand that and understand the value of their list. So you started building a list in 2006. Are you still building a list today?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, so we actually kind of morphed that into more of a very robust rewards program. And so they could start to manage the list for us. Because, you know, we get to the last week of the month and I'd have to set up an assembly line along the bar, and we'd have the staff folding and stuffing and addressing 1,000 newsletters and birthday cards and things like that. And so we started to use a well-built system and company that takes care of that. And so when we opened the second restaurant in 2011 and the third one in 2020, one of the first things we did was get that loyalty program set up, ready to go. And as soon as, you know, we had that initial grand reopening, if you will, and try to capture that name and start building that list immediately, because that's the cornerstone of our marketing. We do very little outside of that.
That's fantastic. I always tell people when they're opening a new restaurant, the best time to start building a database is the day you sign the lease. Put a banner in the window, win free food, win this, QR code, scan it. And then on one restaurant I helped open, we had to have 2 grand openings. We had so many people in the database. 2 grand openings, not one, 2. And it was a built-in business the day we opened, because we had the list and we were engaging with them and sending them emails and creating content for them. And if every restaurant just understood these basic things on marketing, you wouldn't have people suffering and losing their life savings and losing their marriage. I mean, it's no secret that we have the highest bankruptcy rate, the highest failure rate. We have the highest divorce rate. I mean, this is all no secret. But the answers are lying here. I mean, the answers are here. People that are doing it very well. So now you decide to have 2 restaurants. You're underfunded. You realize what marketing really is. You start doing that. And then you pick during the pandemic to open a 3rd restaurant, probably the worst time of all to open a 3rd restaurant. I mean, you couldn't have planned that like any worse. So
no, not so much. Yeah.
So walk us through that process.
Well, so it would have been June 2020. So, you know, that first round of regulations and everything was starting to roll back. This place went for sale. So the people that opened it, it's called the Mayor of Old Town, 100 beers on tap. They'd opened it in 2011, and their original plan was to own it for 10 years and then sell. And so that got them to year 9, and they thought, well, it's probably easier to sell it. Well, it's closed, because they just shut down completely in March 2020. Our oldest son had been in real estate for a while and actually knew the former owner because he was also in real estate. And this kind of used to be his study spot. The CSU, the Colorado State University, is just right across the street from us. And texted him. It's like, hey, we saw you guys were getting ready to sell. We just were curious, you know, how that was coming. And you got a text back, hey, we're doing great. You and your family are going to buy the Mayor from us. Because he knew we were in food and beer in Colorado and kind of had an idea. And it's like, there's a pandemic outside in case you haven't looked. And, you know, things obviously were looking pretty good in the summer 2020, but we knew the winter probably had its own challenges coming back with it, as we all found out, of course, again in November as things shut back down again. But,
right. So that's the second wave. Yeah. So do you have outdoor seating there?
We have a little outdoor seating. There's the building is about 4,000 square feet upstairs. We seat almost 200 people inside, but we're right in the middle of downtown. So the patio outside, as it was set up, is very small. I've only probably sat 35 or 40 people.
Okay.
We bought some fire pit tables. People were sitting outside in the snow, drinking some beer when we couldn't have them inside. Thankfully, with that much room, we could do the 10-foot spacing that the state of Colorado, our county health department actually requested, but once we could be back open inside. But that was, that was a rough winter. It was like starting all over again, even though, you know, had 15 years in already. That was rough.
Any lessons learned during the pandemic in any of the restaurants that you can share?
Yeah, I'm currently in the market for a to-go liquor store with a drive-through window. No, we having the database and having that list let us communicate with our guests, so we could run some specials and to-go things that maybe, burgers and fries don't travel all that well, but we could do some pasta specials and some more dinner specials, shepherd's pies, things like that we could do in batch and then sell to go. And then when we did get the to-go alcohol here in Colorado was added during the pandemic. So having all the draft lines in all 3 restaurants, we could fill growlers, we could do those to go. with our buying power, we could buy 5 cases of some local beer that they had one off of, and could sell a lot of those things to go. And both, it's kind of scratched the itch for the guests that really wanted to go out and do something and have different food than they're making at home. And at the same time, help us keep the lights on and at least get through to the other side of this. So,
right. When this first hit, my first inclination was get rid of all my food, except for the stuff I wanted to eat, right? My own personal family. But my inclination was, let's just get rid of inventory, blow things out. Let's get money in the bank. We're getting money in the bank, and sitting on extra wine, extra beer, extra cans of beans is not going to do me any good. So blow it out. And I was shocked how people responded to literally they would buy anything, and it was a cycle that just kept going and going and going. And we were allowed to do it out of liquor out of the door as well. And we were allowed to do bottles of wine, all this kind of stuff. And the deals on wine in New York here were fantastic. So I was buying wine that was normally $16 frontline wholesale a bottle for $4 a bottle. I had to commit to buying the pallet, so I'd buy 56 cases. And
right.
all of a sudden, I was doing 2 ribeye steaks and a bottle of wine to go for $40 and killing it. I mean, it was insane. And the deals kept coming in the beginning because they weren't selling wine in the very beginning. They weren't selling stuff in the very beginning. Then the deals were just there. Beer. I remember distributors having beer half off. And we created these 4-packs of IPAs, 16-ounce cans, 4-packs, $19.99 to go. And sure, I only made $2-3 on each can, but it was moving inventory, move.
Absolutely.
Move. And that was the name of the game for us. Just get it in, get it out. And at the height of our wine sales, we were selling 25 cases of wine a week.
Nice. Yeah.
And I'm a small restaurant, 55 seats, selling 25 cases of wine. And, I always say to people, I'm like, if you didn't try during the pandemic, you weren't trying. If you didn't make it, you weren't trying, because people still needed to eat. All right. So, is everything over with restrictions of dining in Colorado right now? Is all that passed for the present moment?
It is, yeah. We don't have any current restrictions anywhere. Healthcare and some stuff, but yeah, no restaurant.
Full occupancy. Mask. Nobody has to wear a mask. No. Full occupancy. Okay, great. So the previous owners from the old town had a 10-year plan. Do you have an exit strategy? Do you have a timeline? Like, are you having fun right now? Or is that something that's not even in your mind?
Well, one of the locations, so the Wapiti in Estes, we're probably, we're looking at 3 to 5 years, and we're kind of see where Estes Park is going and some of that. Our youngest son is 20. So once he's done with school, that kind of frees us up for some other things. Our older son, Avery, I think you might have actually met him in Phoenix. He kind of came back in with us. So he's sort of helping us run the mayor, and he really enjoys it.
Awesome. How old is
he? He's 28.
28. Okay. My daughter came back. She's 21, 22, and she came back and she helps us run a few things. That's such, it's an amazing, I want to talk to you about building a team too, but yeah, keep because that's important where you're at in 3 restaurants. So keep going on your exit strategy here. Your son comes back.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So he's back and running it. So with the mayor, we bought the building also. And so, commercial real estate is a beginning of the exit strategy, I think, at some point. Whether we sell the business, keep the building, or just cash out altogether at some point. So yeah, we'll have to kind of see where that one takes
I like that. I like the real estate strategy. Love the real estate strategy. Are Airbnbs big by you?
They're huge in Estes Park. Yeah, VRBO and Airbnb, there's a ton of them up there.
So we got involved in some Airbnbs, some real estate and hosting, and we're now like the listed private chef on some online profiles of Airbnbs. And the catering that comes from that is insane. You can charge double what you charge in your restaurant, bill for staffing, and show up to these houses that sleep 20 people and cook, pretend you're cooking, bring everything from the restaurant, pretend you're cooking, bring your own plates in, you box everything up when you leave it like spotless, like you found the place, and you charge $100 a person for 20 people, and it's 2 hours in and out. And it's just, and we just keep repeating this process over and over. And we're actually so busy with this that we are turning people away now on this. So there's I had on I was a guest of a recent podcast, Art Linkletter, Dine Line, and I revealed this whole hack on how to go on AirDNA, pick out all the best Airbnbs in your area, find out what they get a night, find out what they brought in for the last 12 months, and just target them and say, hey, I want to offer personal private chef services in your property. And every property owner's like, thank you so much, this is great. But you can't dilute the market. You pick the top ones, and it's very, very lucrative. So, yeah, and then plus owning Airbnbs is extremely lucrative. I mean, it's crazy what Airbnbs, what people are paying to get, especially into a luxury house. It's amazing, and I think that restaurants have a unique ability to slide into a management position in Airbnbs. You don't have to own an Airbnb; just manage them, run the food, run the catering, and even weddings. These larger ones do weddings. You could be the sole caterer in some of these places for weddings. It's amazing opportunity. The pandemic brought upon amazing opportunities if you were, again, willing to look and work.
If you're paying attention and willing to work for it, absolutely, I agree with that.
100%. So, all right, so your son's back in. The Wapiti would probably be the first one to go. Are you having fun?
Most of the time. Like everybody, we're scraping for staff a little bit. Estes Park is kind of a unique mountain town. It's a good hour away from anything, a couple hours from Denver. We get a lot of work and travel students, like the J1 kids that come from Europe. They're college kids. They can come for 6 months or whatever. And we haven't had any for the last couple of years, and there's always a few that stay. But the ones that stayed, even at this point, have left. So we're hoping to reload this summer. Get the new place up and go, and the mayor, that's been a blast. I'm used to having 100 beers around, but it's usually a can and bottle list, and so they don't change. With 100 rotating taps, that's been fun digging through all that, and getting back into the German beers and Belgian beers and some of those, because the other restaurants feature pretty much all Colorado product. Actually, an idea I got from you.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. With
over 500 breweries in Colorado, it's not hard to find good beer here. So
right, no, it's definitely not. Wow. So yeah, I remember. So Tory and I were part of a mastermind group. This is how we met in Atlanta in 2009. We both joined a marketing group. Tory was part of the marketing group already when he talked about his marketing awareness from 2006. So we met actually at a marketing conference, joined the mastermind that Tory was part of, and Tory and I would see each other 3 times a year during our marketing conferences all over the country. And we basically, I tell people say, well, what do you mean you went to a mastermind for marketing? And I always like to say, well, we locked ourselves in a conference room with 50 to 100 other restaurant owners that were highly successful. And we shared everything, shared all of our ideas, and modeled promotions and modeled ideas, and came back and kicked butt, basically. So what is your one big promotion that you do that you'll keep doing that has just worked out over and over again?
Along with the loyalty program, I actually have one right here.
There you go. Look at that.
Little red envelope. Pass those out in December with all the Christmas parties and everything, and turns January into not the best month of the year, but certainly one of the top 4 or 5 months instead of the ghost town that it used to be. So
show that red envelope. Show that red envelope. Explain to everybody what that is.
This is for the mayor of Old Town. Doesn't seem to want to focus on that, but our big prize on this one is free beer for a year. We're the 100 beers on tap, and so basically that would be a certificate for 1 beer a week for the whole year, and then lots of smaller prizes. So everybody wins something. I think we have a free soft drink down there that we don't actually give any of the bottom prize. So it's a lot of free appetizers, free dessert, 10% off, $5 off, $10 off, things like that. And we do that at all 3 restaurants, and it's amazing. People come in, they start asking about them in November a lot of times. We've done it long enough now that's huge. As far as a big annual promotion, ongoing promotions, birthdays are easily our best return on investment.
Right. Yeah.
Birthday goes out to eat on their own. Yeah. So
everybody goes out to eat for their birthday. They either go out on their own or people take them out, and like 80-something% of people go out to eat on their birthday. So,
right. Yeah. And there's usually 5 or 6 people. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So our birthday offers are the only offer we're doing right now. We don't do anything but a birthday offer. I put all my money into that. And, you know, we do a few other things, but nothing where it's like an actual coupon or redemption. Tons of social media, tons of all this other stuff, but really the birthday offer is where we put everything into. Last month in April, I think we had like, I don't know, 90 birthday offers come in, and they spend $112 a person average. It's crazy. It's unfathomable what some of these direct mail marketing can do. It's the power of this. So the red envelope is a no peeking envelope. You put prizes in there, you seal it, you give it to them in December, and they come back in January with it sealed, right? And they open it in front of your wait staff and win a prize for that time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So those are gold too. Those are such great things. And, you know, there's so many small things that restaurants can do like that right there, like incorporate a birthday program that will drastically change the projection of their sales, like drastically, like not even like be close. I mean, it's unfathomable what happened when I joined that mastermind group. I mean, it's just, I mean, the ideas that come, the ideas that are there, but the main thing is you have to act upon it, right? We all have to act upon it. So what's your team like there? Does your wife work the restaurants with you? Does she help you with the restaurants, or she stays away? What's her role?
Yeah, she actually has come back fully into the restaurants. She taught, she's a teacher and taught on and off, but probably the last, because 2013, we had a really bad flood that came through town and shut us down for about 7 months.
And I was there right after that. We came and visited in 2014, the year later.
Yeah, that's right. And we finally had everything reopen again. And after that, she pretty much came back into the restaurants. So she runs a lot of the stuff up in Estes Park right now. And then I'm kind of, I'm in Estes a lot right now just because we need the coverage, but then I'm kind of the one that moves around between the three. So we very much run them together.
So do you have executive chefs in each restaurant? How does all this work as far as management, chefs, staff, recruiting?
We don't have chefs. We have a kitchen manager in a Loveland restaurant. We haven't really talked about that one. That one actually shares the clubhouse at a golf course. So we do a lot of golf tournaments, things like that in the summer, and that's the the real summer seasonal piece to that one.
Okay.
We do have a great general manager and kitchen manager there. Bernice is sort of acting as the kitchen manager and general manager for Estes at the moment, and then between Avery and I, we're kind of taking care of the mayor right now. We've got great kitchen staff that's been with us for, one of the guys has been with us 7-8 years now. They actually came down from Estes Park to help us open the Fort Collins place.
Okay.
And so we do a lot of the menu designing and stuff like that. And then those guys execute fantastic. I basically spend a day a week at the mayor, making sure beer orders get put in and that everything's kind of organized and on track to keep on, just keep things heading in the right direction. So.
All right, cool. So any tips you have on recruiting staff, recruiting a team, training a team, anything you can share?
We actually used Bill Marvin, the restaurant doctor. I came across his screening interview years ago. It's about 14 questions. They're kind of yes, no. And that really was huge. Learning how to effectively interview people and be able to interview for personality and attitude. I figure I've been in the game almost 30 years now. I can teach anybody how to take an order, carry a tray, dice a carrot.
Yep.
That's the easy stuff.
That's easy stuff, right? That's easy stuff.
Yeah. And really find people that want to work hard and be paid well for it. That's the we don't shy away from raising our prices. So there's plenty of money to pay people what we need to pay them to get them to show up and keep doing their work. That
is a crucial point right there. A lot of restaurants are afraid to raise their prices. You need to raise your prices. You need to pay your staff. You need to put items on the menu that have insane margins so you can pay your staff. Without your staff, none of this is possible. And without your staff, you're going to hate your restaurant. You're going to want to get out of your restaurant, and you're not going to be having fun. And everything suffers in your life when that happens. And a lot of people are unaware of their food costs. They're unaware of they're clueless on this kind of stuff. And when you start being conscious and say, hey, and make that different, but you can't be afraid to raise prices. If you're not raising prices, you're going to be going out of business. It's just the way it is.
Oh, absolutely. absolutely.
I'm not advocating don't offer a loss leader, because a loss leader gets them in to spend money and spend more money on things. It gets them in the door, and your other pricing is going to take care of the loss leader. And people are so against loss leaders, and they're like, I'll go to do oysters at a place, and I'll buy, $60 oysters, but I'm going to spend double on the amount of wine because I'm going to treat myself with a good bottle of wine. Or if the wine's jacked up on the price anyway, I don't care. I got 60 oysters for $1 each. I'm happy. So I can't complain. And so people don't know really how to balance the loss leaders and charge enough to begin with. And you got to pay your team. That's the bottom line. You got to pay your team, but you have to train the team as well to expect to do proper. I learned this recently, not to even look at their resume, because you made a really good point. You can teach the others. You can teach, the fundamentals of cooking. You can teach. I learned not to even look at their resume anymore, because I don't want to be skewed by what I think they've done in the past. I want to talk to a person and not know what they've done in the past and see if I like them. And if I like them, then they're a good fit.
Yeah. That's always a great place to start. Yeah. I look to make sure that they don't jump jobs every 4 months. Yeah. But beyond that, the resume goes to the side, and
yeah.
Let's just sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah. All right. You opening any more restaurants, or three going to be it?
At the moment, 3's going to be it. The way the mayor is built and branded, there's expansion potential there, but I don't know if that's necessarily in the cards or not. We'll have to kind of see what the future holds.
Expansion as another location, franchising.
Potentially more locations. We've already kind of joked about 2 or 3 locations here in Colorado.
Okay.
We currently have the most beers on tap of anyone in Colorado, which is kind of fun.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the pandemic got a place. There was a place in Denver that had about 150 taps, and a huge aged bottle list and all kinds of really cool stuff. And that ship didn't make it across the pandemic ocean. That was unfortunate.
That's too bad. I love the bottle age stuff. We're big on the bottle age stuff in my restaurant. Huge on it. So, and the vintage stuff. So where do you go out when you want a good beer? Are you a beer drinker, first of all?
Oh, absolutely. You can't see the lower half of me to see what that does, but here in Fort Collins, we've got about 25 breweries. We hit them pretty often. Fortunately or unfortunately, I guess, depending on the day, we get recognized, and pretty soon we're in the back room and they're opening stuff in the cellar and having a good time like that. But Peter Burkhart, that actually brought sour beers to the U.S., has a little brewery here in town now. He was the head brewer at New Belgium. Everybody's familiar with Fat Tire and Lawfully and some of those, but Purpose Brewing, and so they just do single barrels. It's a little 3-barrel system. We actually got to go pick a couple of barrels to bring over here on tap, and so a lot of fun places like that. River North area down in Denver's got some great breweries down there too. It's kind of a nice change of scenery. We can get away and not run into people that we know, and
right.
A lot of fun stuff down there too.
Who's the brewery that's down in town that's also in Utah, but they're in Denver there? They make the Old Ruffian. What brewery is that?
Epic, maybe?
No.
Not Old Ruffian.
Wow. If I look hard enough, I'll see a bottle on my shelf over there. Oh boy. Man, oh man. I always loved their beers. They were available in New York for a while. I'm not sure if they still are, but I have some Old Ruffian going back to like 2014, 2015. And
is that Avery maybe doing that? I don't know.
No, Avery we can't get in New York anymore. They're really not here.
No?
Is Avery still? I'm sure Avery's still rocking and rolling out there, right?
Oh yeah. I always bug him to do Mephistopheles because that's one of my favorite beers at Apparel.
Yes.
About every other year, and I've got a pretty good set going back.
Yeah. So Avery, they stopped coming in. I have a few of their. Well, what don't they barrel age is the question, right? They barrel age so much. I've been there twice, and I have some of like the tequila rum barrel, the tequila barrel stuff. I have a few of the small bottles of some things, but they pulled out in New York and just don't have a presence here. And I love their beers.
Yeah, they did, especially the barrel age, the big barrel age stuff. Great Divide is Old Ruffian.
Great Divide, yes. Great Divide.
Yeah, they do. We actually did a fun release with them with their Yeti.
Okay.
A bunch of different variants, and I'm a huge Bourbon County fan. from Goose Island. I think we had the biggest release outside of Chicago.
You
We
did
had we had 9 on tap and
9,
16 bottles or something like that. That was fun.
not 9 Bourbon County stouts on draft.
Yeah, we had 4 years and then.
So are you okay?
5
All right. So are you aging the kegs now yourself?
I do. So I a keg cooler that'll hold 100 beers. We've got about 100 room for 150, 180 kegs down there. So I've got a little corner.
You've got a little corner.
I've got some of the Bourbon County Stout, a couple of older years and a couple of variants from last year. And then we've got like a Firestone Walker Parabola from last year we're sitting on.
Okay.
Some things like that. We've got a nice stash of Orval. So over time we'll have kind of we could do a multi-year.
Orval. Are you doing Orval Day? It's coming up the 21st of May, I think.
We were looking at that, and I don't think we probably will, just because we'll be busy at the other restaurants.
Yeah,
we'll post something and promote it, but I don't think we're doing a promotion around.
We've done it in the past, and then we just got the notice. So all right, so I love the aging the kegs. I love that because I do that myself, and we have a 2017 Old Rasputin barrel on draft right now. Nice. Yeah, so people
let me know when that one's going on. That's one of my favorites.
And people are flipping out over that. I got a 2018 CBS. I got some. It's expensive to do this, right? But the wow factor for people that know those beers, like it's insane. The wow factor, because people like, where are you getting this? How are you getting this? And nobody else has. So you literally had like the largest Bourbon County Stout tapping or party release, one of the largest in the country. That's awesome.
The sales rep there said it was the biggest one outside of Chicago. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell us some of the advantages or some of the perks or some of the things that set you apart as far as the beer, as far as marketing, as far as drawing that beer culture. Beer drinkers, it's a really, the whole beer culture to begin with. Like, we would do wine dinners, and if it says it's going to rain out, people cancel for the wine dinner. You do a beer dinner and people drive in a blizzard for a beer dinner. They're just different people, right? And
they are
right. So it's a whole different culture, and all the brewery owners like work good together. Like, you go to a beer festival and they're all sitting there drinking together, all having a good time together. They all like each other, right?
Oh, they all know each other. Oh, absolutely.
So it's one of those things like, wow, why can't every industry be like this, right? So what are some of the advantage of like you've got an insane beer list? Like, what are some of the perks that you get? Like as far as like from sales reps or from companies or whatever, is anybody like coming in and saying like, hey, come to Belgium with us, or you should do this, or I got super rare releases for you. I got some cool stuff. Talk to us about that.
Sure. We get various offers pretty often. If the regional reps are in town for any, like Guinness, for example, they always come here. They always come by the mayor. We've had 3 breweries now. I think we've brewed collaboration beers with.
That's cool. So,
which is always fun. Yeah.
You don't brew beer yourself, but you're in their collaboration, or how does that work?
So like we go in. So one of them that we did, I was there for the whole brew day, mostly drinking beer with the brewers, but I poured the hops in, so I got to make the beer.
Right.
It's kind of the joke, and some things like that, like Odell Brewing, probably one of the best known and largest breweries in Colorado, and in my opinion, one of the best. They're in about 20 states now. They're growing slowly so they can maintain quality, but they brewed a beer for us since we had reopened and got them back in here, and it was just Mayor Red. And so things like that are really cool. Pretty often we'll get somebody call us like, hey, I only have 3 kegs of this whiskey barrel aged quad, and we'll just buy all 3 of them. We have the capital and the room to sit on them, and then the other 2 or 3 beer bars in town also don't get them. So we play nice up to a point.
right. Because really, it's all about what you have and what other people don't have.
Exactly. Because
it is. And with 5,000, 6,000 breweries in America, there's plenty of beer to go around for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. Like when Russian River finally got some Pliny back into Colorado, there was only 4 kegs. Well, we got 2 of them between our places, which was kind of cool. And so we get some of those opportunities. And we're happy to play the game too. We understand that. So one of the breweries here in Colorado, Dry Dock, they do a lot of great stuff. They skipped 2 of their anniversary parties, so they had all this barrel aged stuff they were waiting on. So we actually did a 6-handle release, and it was a 2014 coffee porter, a 2016 barrel aged double vanilla porter, and their apricot blonde age that almost turned into this Belgian triple taste, and it was crazy. I never would have expected that beer to do what it did, but and with having 100 handles, what is a takeover in most places is just a nice little section of the wall. I think we had 6 deliriums on at the same time from Belgium.
Wow.
So we got the glassware in, and the rep came out and was talking about the beer. It just affords us the opportunity to do a lot of really cool things like that to serve the beer community, because there's people out there that are really interested in that growth. We've got a couple of people that follow us that are they're working on actually advanced Cicerone, the beer certification program, and they'll watch what we tap and come in when there's a style they haven't had or a beer they've never heard of or something like that, which is really cool too.
So that's really cool. Yeah. So you're studying for the beer exam. You need to know more about whatever it is, a farmhouse saison, and you tap a farmhouse saison. So they come in to officially do some studying.
Yeah, exactly.
Love that.
The first couple of flights, there's a notebook out, and then the notebook is put away.
That is awesome. I love that. So how can people find you? Instagram accounts, Facebook? What's the best way for everybody to find you?
We're pretty much everywhere. Wapiti Pub Estes, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Birdie's Loveland. So the golf course restaurant is actually Birdie's.
Okay.
And then Mayor of Old Town. We've got pretty good following. I think I want to say 13,000 fans or thereabouts on Facebook, and
okay.
Instagram page has grown. We kind of been working on that one a little bit, and Twitter, we're on Untappd, is where we track all of our menus for all 3 restaurants.
Untappd, yep. I follow you on Untappd, so I get a notification constantly that you're tapping something. So yeah, I think it's a daily notification. I just follow you at the Wapiti. I don't follow you at Old Town because I'll have to follow you now at Old Town. I'm sure that'll be every couple of hours something getting tapped.
There's days.
So, all right, Tory, this has been awesome. Really been awesome. Any advice to anybody going into the brew world as far as opening up a beer bar? Any advice you can give anybody?
I definitely spend some time in the industry. I think the one thing that I see is people, it's like, well, I retired from my accounting job and I love beer. I want to open a brewery and I homebrew. That's great. Spend 6 months working in a tap room or, being a brewer's assistant, something, spend some time in the industry. I think a lot of people that want to come in approach it as the art. They've got grandma's meatball recipe if it's a restaurant or something. That's great, but you've got to approach it as a business and with some understanding of how those inner workings are. And I think that's the big thing that helped us, I guess it's been 17 years ago getting in, is we watched the numbers. We figured out what prime cost was. We tried to see what those returns on investments were. And beer and brewing, the brewing world, like you were saying, there's a lot of great people. Talk to 5 or 6 different breweries and get some input and see what their thoughts are.
Yeah.
We get beer in kegs from the brewery across the street pretty often because they ran out of cooperage and needed to put their beer in something to get it out. And it really is a great community, but spend some time in it. Don't just jump in. If
right.
you're
a lot of people like to open a bar because they like to drink.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the worst reason to open a bar. You would save a lot of money if you just went to a bar. A lot of people don't realize that. I'm gonna open a bar. I love to drink, and they think they're gonna drink for free. And before they know it, it costs them far more to open a bar.
That's very true.
Another bar, right? They could have saved 100,000 or so.
Yeah. Not counting the legal fees.
Yeah. So, all right, Tory. Thank you very much. Would love to come out and see you out there soon, or hook up with you at a conference. I need to get back to Colorado anyway. So
absolutely,
that'd be a good reason. I have some friends up in Fort Collins as well, so I got friends all over the state. All right, awesome. Great talking to you, Tory. All right, everybody, we're out of here.
Marcus, thanks.